We're here preparing for solar installation, and today we're doing all the data and networking connections. We're going to show you exactly how we do it. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's go. So we're installing this MyEnergy Zappi electric vehicle charging point. We're putting it on this fence, and because of that, what we want to do is mark up a board like we've done to go behind the charging point to give it a nice stable base to fix to. And what we've now got to do is just try and cut this out neatly. Unfortunately, none of us have a jigsaw on our vans, so we're trying to figure out whether to do it with a multi-tool. Ruben's going to be mounting that. I'm going to be doing the consumer unit for the solar. I'm finishing off all the stuff in that cupboard, terminating the cables there, and John is going to be doing the stuff in the main house consumer unit.
So today I'm going to be mounting some trunking along here where that cable's come through, across into here, and terminating the SWA into the side of this. Is that a BG board? A BG board, I think it is. I've got to fish that Cat 5 down to the meter cover for the CTs, and then I've got to install out here and replace this main switch for a SPD one and get a CT installed round. I'm not sure what CTs. I think there's a solar one and a load limiting one. I'm not entirely sure. I'll find out beforehand. And that's my task, and Ruben's doing the charger and Jordan's doing the solar stuff.
Wicked.
Right, I'm going to try and multi-tool this out. We've got a nice new multi-tool blade on this, and I reckon with a bit of finesse we should be able to get a nice cut on it. Let's give it a go. Nice. One beautiful multi-tool B-roll segment later, we have a nice plate of wood. Quite amazed that we managed to get it so neat with just a multi-tool. And that is just going to go on here just to give us a nice flat surface. Now, I can hear all the keyboard warriors screaming at me right now, you shouldn't mount an EV charging point to a fence, it's a temporary structure. This is a brand new fence. I mean, it's only as temporary as a wall, really. You know, walls can be moved later on and stuff. This is a solid fence. It's not going anywhere. We're happy to fix a charging point to this fence, but let me know if you have a genuinely good reason why we should not do that. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. That's going to go on there. We're going to gland our EV Ultra cable into here, and then the data cable for the hardwired Ethernet connection in here. Job's a good one. So we'll just get that fixed back with a couple of screws first of all, just to hold it in place, I think, and then we can mount the Zappi onto that. What method do you usually use to strip the armoured?
I use just a hacksaw.
Yeah.
I've never really used like an armour slice thing.
I've got that new tool that I've never used before. I can't remember what it stands for. SACS, like steel armoured cable slicer or something. So the idea, I think, is that it can go this way to actually slice the armoured. You run it round and you just give it a little tighten each time, and it should slice through the armouring. Just got to keep an eye on it, I guess. I think that's probably pretty much through the armouring. So then what you do is you take it off and then you flip it round like that, and then you use it to actually, supposedly, to basically slice up the outer sheath and get the outer sheath off, and then if you've gone through enough you should be able to just bend those off. But it's not, I mean, I went round that a lot and it's not really convinced, unfortunately. I think we're going to go old school and scrap that tool. I'm not convinced, unfortunately. I think it's a good idea, but it's just maybe with a bit more practice or something, but I'm not confident. We've not got a lot of length to play with on this cable, so we're going to do it how we know best.
Did you want the ratchet?
Oh yeah, why not? See if I can actually cut through with a mini hacksaw by the time he gets here with the ratchet. Oh, close. Finish it off with the ratchet. Is this one of those Amazon jobbies? Wow, it feels like it's had some love over the years, this thing. You can tell when a tool has been well used. Oh, that is nice. Right, so what I like to do, Ruben,
yep.
Little tip for you when terminating armoured. How do you cut the boot so it's nice and tight? what I do is I do it like that. Kind of can see where the size of the cable is.
Yeah.
And then go slightly smaller with your knife. Usually that works fairly well. Flip it around, pop it over, and that's nice and tight there.
It's a nice boot.
Yeah, I've never called it a boot until Corey came along, and I'm like, it's called a shroud, not a boot, but I'm calling it a boot now. It's called a noddy hat. A noddy hat? What? What do you reckon, Ruben?
I reckon that's pretty nice.
Spot on.
Pretty juicy.
Pretty juicy. Strip that back a little bit more than is needed, not too much so that it doesn't come back past this, because we need the little rubber ring inside there to be able to go on the outside of the cable.
You find it easier with bigger glands or smaller glands?
I think it's actually, I used to say smaller is easier, but I actually think bigger sometimes.
Because it's more solid, or?
Yeah. So can we use your lovely expensive grips?
Yeah.
Can I leave you to do the rest?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Confident now? That'll just go in a 20mm stuffing gland.
Beautiful.
So that's easy.
Yep. Yeah, do you know where the Ethernet is on there? Because I remember looking at it before with John, and we just kind of...
It's weird, isn't it? I can't see it.
Oh.
It's not on the front of it, is it?
I don't think so. We had a customer asking about a hardwired connection to this, and we were looking inside and it was like, can't see it anywhere. Maybe it's like the wrong model of Zappy and it hadn't been added to it or whatever. It was in the instructions and we were like, where is it? We were searching all over the place. John said, oh, is it on the front? I was like, doesn't look like it. Flip it over and there it is, right there. So, at least we know that for the future though.
So the customer's Tesla is actually arriving today, which is really exciting. That's why we're prioritising to try and get this up and running before all the solar and stuff. If you've seen the previous episode, we explained that we're coming back here in a week or so to fit a full solar system, battery storage, etc. So while Ruben's mounting the charger on the wall, I'm going to go over and continue with the consumer unit and planning everything for the solar installation. So this is the cupboard where all the equipment for the solar is going, so it's kind of like a little plant room that we're creating here. We've got a new consumer unit that we're putting in there, loads of stuff for the data connections, because we've got an Ethernet switch going in here to take the Ethernet connection over to the charger. And then the battery is going to go on here. We've got a 10 kilowatt hour solar edge battery to go in, solar edge inverter going in there. We've got a few bits that have just arrived, our isolators and things. So now they're here, I can start to mark all those up and see where they're going to go on the wall. And I've also got to get these cables clipped up and into that consumer unit because they're just coiled up in here in a mess at the moment. So that's probably my first priority, is just to get all the cables clipped up and out of the way. And then I've got plenty of space to work.
So we've got our plate that we're going to mount onto here. So I've just kind of slightly pre-drilled the holes where it's up against the thicker bit of wood so that I don't have to use long screws and it gets a solid fix in. And then what I've done is where I've drilled it on the Zappy, the hole for the armoured, I've measured it up to here and marked where it needs to go. And then I've also done the same on the fence so it all lines up. Hopefully should have a nice bend, straight up, straight in, and then once that's done, I can get the gland in for the data cable, which should just be a 20mm stuffer. And then we'll just like heat shrink over the armouring and yeah, should go all right.
So Tradify's pinging off once again. A few changes today because Luke's off sick. He's had it really rough. So he called me this morning. So Chloe's just been shuffling around the calendar. And the great thing about Tradify is it's just super easy to do that. Just change which engineer is going to do what job, update, add jobs in at the last minute and things. And all the guys have to worry about on site is looking at their phone, see where they're going, hit, navigate, and they can navigate to the job. So Tradify is today's video sponsor. We use it every day to manage our workflow, book jobs, send invoices and quotes, and it's just such a fantastic platform. If you'd like to find out more about how to save yourself time and energy in the evenings, use Tradify, get a 50% discount using our code in the link in the description. Basically what I'm struggling with here is that I kind of wanted to go straight across with this cable, along and then drop in, but it doesn't give me much room to play with the bend and make it look neat. So I'm thinking rather to actually take these cables high level, take them around, and then give myself a bit more room to drop them straight down. The only thing is I don't want to cross them over, so I think this feed cable is going to have to come in on the left and then the EV cable on the right, and then I'll just swoop them across each other in the consumer unit.
So I've just got this trunking up, semi-fixed in place, and the cable's through. Got some all-round band in it in place just because it's on an escape route so it can't fall. It's gone into a stuffing gland here because PG only have one knockout inside of the board and it was already half out. So it's going to be earth the other end, the end Jordan's doing. So that'll earth the armouring of the cable. So now I've just got to get these terminated, rejig the board, replace the tails and do the SPD.
So we are ready to terminate our Cat 5e data cable now, and in the end of the charging point what we need is one of these, which you might call it various things. I've called it a glass head in the past and everyone laughed at me, like, why do you call it a glass head? I've never heard that. That's what I've heard them called before, but I think they just call it an RJ45 plug or crimp connector or whatever. Basically these are the pass-through ones, and we've got this great little tool which will be tool of the day today. So there's a link in the description for this where you can crimp these pass-through plugs. The Artisan Touch, we put a little boot on it, blue for Artisan, so put that on there, and then we can actually use this tool to strip the wires. So I mean, we don't need them to be that long, but I usually strip a fair amount anyway because the wires pass through, so it doesn't really matter. Use that, run it round like so, and then slide that off. The little string is not really needed. That is literally just kind of to torsion the cable, give it a bit of extra strength. Now, to be honest, because I don't do a huge amount of data, I can never remember the colours off by heart, but on here it gives you the colours, so that's really nice and easy, and it gives you them in the order that they will go into the plug, if that makes sense. So the plug goes in there like that, and then you can see which order you need. Now there's two setups, there's A and B. I always think A is for America, B is for Britain. Well, that was Ruben's idea, B is for Britain. But I always thought A, America, so we don't do A, we do B. And what we basically do is we've got to untwist these and get them nice and straight in order to go through the pass-through tool. It's a bit fiddly to keep them in the right order, but it doesn't matter too much if they go out of order. The main thing is get them straight first. Now I've got them roughly right, but I think I just need to check the order again. So we've got brown, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, orange, white, orange. So they are in the right order. With our pass-through connector, we just, as the name suggests, pass the wires through it. There we go. So the sheath goes as far in as you can get it, basically, because this will also crimp the plastic crimping head down onto the cable and make it tight to the sheath. And then when it comes out this side, what you want to do is just double check the colours again. And very clever with this tool, it actually gives you the colours how they should be on this side. And then all we do is crimp like that. It cuts them off, and then we can pull that out, and there we've got a nicely crimped RJ45 connector clamped down onto the sheath, so that's not going to pull off. It's really nice and neat. And then this little shroud or boot goes over that, and then that will plug in to our data connection on the front of the Zappi. So now we've crimped it, it looks good, but how do you know whether it is actually good? You need to test it. So I'll show you the testing procedure in a minute once we've connected the other end.
It's okay, you can prove off of a known live source. I'm gonna go on the bottom first. You should have some electricity. Then you go on the top.
I actually can't see through my sunglasses. I can just hear it.
No electric. And then go back on the bottom to prove it didn't.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
We're good. Do you know why they would put this tape on here rather than seals?
Laziness?
No, because someone has pulled the fuse out with the seals in. So yeah, they broke the carrier.
Oh.
So there's actually nowhere to seal it. So they put this seal tape on it. I think we'll be able to fish up there, mate. That's seems a bit loosey-goose. So this is non-bi-rated or flexible. So you can see there's many more cores. So if I try and bend this with my finger and thumb, and I've had a fry up this morning, so I've got my strength. And
no wheat fix then.
Just so much more malleable and simple to use. That one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Ruben's attempt at a tape joint, so if it doesn't go up, it's got something to learn.
Oh, it'll go up.
Oh, it'll go up. Oh, it's come off, mate.
Huh?
It's come off.
I don't buy it.
I ain't buying it. Ruben, why have you put 12 inches of tape on?
Huh? So 12 inches?
12 inches.
I was only like 3.
Right, so we're getting there now. Finally, all the cables are clipped up and dressed into position. So these are my data cables, and basically this is an armoured data cable going out to the Zappy. I'm going to put it into a data socket here. Take the other Ethernet cable, which is this one, into a data socket here, which will patch into this switch, and then we'll patch the Zappy in to another port in the switch. And then this one is actually our CT cable, which will give us our grid CT for the Zappy and our grid CT for the Solar Edge system. So I'm going to joint that with the Cat5 in the Zappy cable, and then the other pair that's going over to there will connect to the Solar Edge Modbus for the grid connection for the Solar Edge system. So that's what all our data cables are for. We're going to gland those in there neatly, bring those through into the correct ports. Then this is the power cable that comes into this board. So I'm going to just take that into the top of the main switch, and then we're going to have a 32 amp RCBO that's going to connect this cable to feed the Zappy. I've got to test out all these cables as well to make sure they're okay. I've got to also earth the glands here because they're not earthed at the other end, so I've got to make sure that I put a flying lead on each one to make sure that the sheath of the armoured cables are earthed. So we've got these data sockets that we're going to put on here. We use MK as our general go-to accessories brand. This is actually the MK baseline, which they look pretty smart and they're reasonably priced and good quality. So we've got essentially the same kind of thing as we had on the other end. We've got A or B options, and we've just got to use our punch down tool, which is this, to punch the conductors in to the terminals. So this is our master socket basically. That is essentially going to bring the internet in to this room. The idea, as much as possible, is to not untwist them too much, and then only untwist them just enough to get them into the terminals, because the twists actually help with the speed. So we'll start by punching those two in. And this tool just punches it in, and then it snips the end of the wire off so that it leaves a nice and neat finish. That is done at that end. Now I've left plenty of slack because I figure we might as well. There's no harm in having too much cable just in case anything needs to be altered later. Okay, so that's that one done. We're going to do this one now as well. What we're going to do is put a socket on that as well, and then we can I'll plug in tester and actually test it at the other end to make sure that it's working correctly. So this is what we call a patch cable. It's basically a cable with two ends on. And we've got this tester which tests the connections from end to end basically. We press the test button and it should show that everything's connected and all yellow lights, so that is perfect. That's what we want. We'll plug this into our socket that we want to test, like that. Then we'll go to the other end and plug it in there. So this is the one that we've crimped at that zappy end, and we press the test button and it's all good. Everything is okay and it's connected. So that is what we want to see. Just a little note on this, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you probably see that we had a zappy. I got called out over the weekend to a customer where these terminals here had actually melted because there was a loose factory connection, and so I said to everyone, we need to make sure we double check the factory connections in all the charging points. But you can see now in the new Zappy 2.1 they've actually got push fit connections here anyway, so there's nothing really for us to check, which is nice. You know, I like the manufacturers trying to improve the product all the time and trying to avoid any kind of possibility for human error, which you know, putting push fit connections in seems to do the trick. Nearly there. The board is all pretty much dressed in now. Just got a final switch fuse connection unit to put on. Getting excited, it's looking good. Let me show you. Main feed cable comes into this main switch, and then we've got a circuit for our Zappy. We've got this circuit which will be for the solar, inverter and battery storage, and then we've got this circuit which is going to do this socket here, and then it's going to do this switch fuse connection unit I'm just about to put in, which is for the Solar Edge mod bus. Max was just saying, I bet you're looking forward to doing more of these solar installs, and to be honest, I am really enjoying this job. It's just nice to work on something that's really kind of bespoke, takes a lot of brain power to think it all out, plan it, make it all nice. I mean, it is a little bit stressful as well because there's a lot of things to think about, but it's very satisfying when it all comes together. I'm really enjoying it. So this takes the reading from the grid CT to basically see how much power the house is using and stuff, and then it has an internet connection. You can log into the Solar Edge app and see what's going on and stuff. So this is a very important piece of kit really. In terms of power, it just needs a 230 volt supply. I think we just put it on a 5 amp fuse, which is what I've put that switch fuse connection unit in for now.
I've just got back from McDonald's and I'm a little bit disoriented. It does it to you. It's the salt. We're putting an extra data point here. The gentleman's got fibre coming in, and it's going to be coming in here in the new position. Currently it's above the mains position. Goes straight into there, which goes out to network point up there, I want to say, something like that. And then that goes out to the Zappy as well, so then everything's got data. The reason I'm drilling so slow is that that's a cable zone going that way and 6 inches from the wall, so I'm not sure whether there's something there, so I'm just going through very steadily. If I changed from anything but brick, then I would ease off to check what was there. Not that my drill's really slow and broken. Where's the hole? Is that it? So if we have a conduit to here, just do a little loop. Oh. Right, you're not getting it back now. If you press it again, it'll go doo 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 doo. Oh dear, this cupboard weren't made for the Husky gentleman.
So I've put the AC isolator here, and then next to it is going to be the solar PV generation meter, but we've not got that yet. So all I'm doing is basically terminating the isolator, the incoming power to the isolator for the moment, and then when we come back to do the inverter, we'll put the meter on and we'll do the outgoing side. we've got blinking lights on both ports. That's looking good. Let's check if the Zappy's connected. Yeah, we've got an IP, so that's fantastic. So now we'll do download firmware, check for updates. It's downloading the latest firmware, and it's super fast because it's got an internet connection that's hardwired rather than it's sending it from the hub, which used to take ages. So that's really good. There we go, up to date. We are good to go. So now it should show the correct time and date, which it does. And we've got our little symbol saying the house is using 0.4 kilowatts of electricity. So now for the big test. We have charge. Oh yeah. Well, that was a marathon of a day, but we've got a lot done and I'm really happy with how it's gone. All those data connections are done and working. Everything's here ready to go now, and in a week from now, the battery and inverter are going to arrive. The scaffolding's going to go up. We're going to start putting panels on the roof. So make sure you like and subscribe and have the notification bell turned on so that you get notified when that video drops, because then you can see the whole process from start to finish. But we really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next one.
Wicked, wicked.
Jungle is massive.
Wicked, wicked.
Jungle is massive. Muddy one of them up in them